We're going to go to Des for a half hour and come back.
Okay.
So you can have
What do you think you've got? No, it's fine. Just
welcome to Aquarius Rising Africa 2. We sorry, not Africa, Australia. It's Monday morning, and we've had some login blues, so we've been sitting giggling with GABBI and SOLI and Winston and Jasmine. Very interesting story we have here this morning. So I'm going to hand over to you, Gabs and SOLI, and then Winston and Jasmine, because you guys have got some really interesting tales to tell. So Gabs, over to you.
Well, thank you so much, SOLI and Winston and Jasmine, for joining us. I actually come across what your family's experiencing through SOLI speaking out, and it's just such a shocking example of what's actually happening in our families and what's being carried out by the Department of Child Protection, which is far from protecting children. So I was really excited to be able to have you all here to, share your story. And I think it's so important the public starts understanding what these systems that are, the general public believe are there to protecting our kids are actually doing the complete opposite and breaking up families altogether. So yeah, we're really looking forward to hearing all of the details of everything that's happened so people can understand. And I can imagine it must be just such a traumatic experience, because I know your two beautiful boys have been away from the family now for months. I think it was October when it first happened.
Yeah, 7th of October 2021.
Yeah. So yeah, my heart goes out to you, because it's just it's such a just unfathomable thing that people's children are being taken away. And I know that in your family it's happened over many generations, and that Jasmine, you are of original descent as well, and unfortunately our original families are very much targeted by child protection. And yeah, just to think that 5 whole generations of Australians have experienced trauma, it's just heartbreaking, isn't it? So yeah, I would love to hear how this started. Please explain, for people that just don't understand how this can possibly be happening in Australia, like the circumstances that your boys were taken away and how this whole saga began.
Would you like to tell us your story from the beginning, Jasmine and Winston? Do you want to share with people what's happened, when it happened, and where you're up to in the process at this point?
Yeah, okay. So can you hear me okay? Is that all right?
Yeah, that's
Can you hear my voice or not? I got it better like that, yep. Yeah, so unfortunately, as you're aware on the panel here, yeah, 2 boys, Matthew and Nathaniel, were taken from us. This happened on the 7th of October 2021, and it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday, I remember. And there was 2 police officers came, 1 female, 1 male, and also 2 DCP workers, 1 male and 1 female as well. And I remember them saying, or one of the workers said, to be cruel to be, what he said was, we're very concerned for your mental health, and to be cruel to be kind, we need to take your children from you today. And we just said, what? Jasmine's worker was with us on the day this happened. Before this, DCP came. I was bathing Matthew and Nathaniel. They're having a bath. Excuse me. And 2 DCP workers at the door. Jasmine answered the front door of our house. This was at 10 Slade Street, Murray Bridge, South Australia. This is where this happened. And they said, this was a few weeks before the 7th of October. They said, look, we're happy, everything's fine. we're just letting you know that your case has been cleared with DCP. Your case has been closed. So that was from the beginning there.
And then they came back about 2 weeks later and said, we have to take children off you because you've got mental health issues, which I've been cleared by the doctors that I don't have mental health. And they, from my way of thinking, the pastor that is involved, he is actually rang DCP 7 times and said, your children, the children need to be in care. You don't have any parenting capacity to look after your boys. And saying that I've got mental issues, which I don't. You know, I put food on the table for the boys. Yeah. I do washing, you know, clean the house, you know, and play with the children outside and go to the park with their dad and myself. You know, it just, and for them to take my children away and got no proof of anything, it's all lies that they've been telling on me, you know, saying that, oh, do a parenting course, and which I don't need to do one. I'm not mentally insane. I'm a good mum for my boys. Yeah. You know, it's heartbreaking knowing that this has happened, you know, and it just upsets me, you know, that they can have control over the government who's corrupt, very corrupt, and I can't trust anyone anymore because they've taken my boys, and who else has it happened to? Yeah. Probably thousands out there, you know, and I've been in care myself, and I have seen children abused, and I'm telling you the truth. I'm not joking, you know, to the point where, you know, they just need to return. How hard is it for them to return? Yeah. Nathaniel.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Jasmine, my heart is so with you. I'm so sorry for what you were being put through. I'm really ashamed of us as a community that we've allowed this to happen on our watch. I'm really ashamed that we have got this so wrong. And we need to be getting your story out to the wider community so that they can really hear the truth of what's going on and understand that this system that is in place that claims to hold authority over child protection is in reality a state-run child trafficking department. All of the people involved are all being paid to take these children and to keep them in the system. And they've all got a financial conflict of interest. And the problem that we see, you know, in these matters is it might be that the family does actually have, you know, a real need for support. So in my getting to know Winston and Jasmine, I know that their relationship was under strain and they were having some problems, largely because they're already engaged in the system services, so support services for Jasmine and supporting the family. And though instead of providing real support, what we had is different agencies working together to basically agitate and cause stress and problems between mum and dad, which then enables the system to generate its own false claims, essentially, you know, that the children are not safe in this environment, we're just going to go in and remove them. You know, this is 200 days now since Matthew and Nathaniel were taken. And in that time, Jasmine and Winston, how much contact have you had with the boys?
We've only had 2 visits over the time the boys were taken. Yeah. in Elizabeth DCP office.
That was in January
in January
this year.
And I missed Daniel's birthday. You know, and Mother's Day is coming up as well. And they don't care who they hurt. We've only seen them twice for 45 minutes and then dropped down to 30 minutes. And we live in Murray Bridge.
We were
in Murray Bridge, right? And the DCP don't care, you know, that we have to travel all the way down there and we only see our children twice, and now it's been like
not for very long.
Not for very long. And it's like I'm trapped. I feel like I'm a criminal, but I'm not.
Yeah.
You know,
that is the way this system operates, isn't it, Jasmine? That they, you know, make all these accusations that they can fabricate out of thin air. They need no evidence. There's no due process. So they can make any accusations that they like, and anyone can report. So what I have witnessed is that often people that know how this system works will do active false reporting to get children removed from their families and put into the system, because the people that then know how to access the children once they're in the system can get access to those children. It's child trafficking and child procurement by completely untrustworthy people who are failing to actually follow lawful instructions. So in the case of Jasmine and Winston, Jasmine is of original sovereign ancestry, and she has got Aunty Sandy, who is an original sovereign elder, supporting her, who has met with Winston and Jasmine on a number of occasions. Actually, myself and Aunty Sandy went to Murray Bridge to actually pick up in the car Jasmine and Winston from their home at one point, because they were terrorised to such a point by the DCP and Safehold that they were fearful for their lives and felt that the false authorities were going to come and abduct them both and take them away and lock them up under mental health, because that's one of their well-worn policies, corporate policies, to get rid of problem parents. You know, if you won't just go along with whatever these authorities say, and you challenge the fact that they've stolen your children, and like Jasmine and Winston, so much courage to go public and say to the community, please come and have a look. You know, our children should never have been taken, and we've done everything within our reasonable power to instruct these people. They've done the wrong thing. They've made a mistake. They need to return our children, and no one is listening. No one's listening. We've contacted, Kathy Taylor, CEO of Child Protection. We're dealing directly with Carly Crossley, who's the case manager, Murray Bridge DCP. The family have been to police to report their children stolen and go through, the official protocol. And police just joke and laugh that the children aren't missing. Like, we've got them. We've got your children. We know where they are. You don't. The parents have got no idea where their children are or who's got them. That's the reality.
So horrific.
Well, Winston and Jasmine, firstly, I would just like to say I am so sorry for what you are going through. I mean, this is horrible, horrible, horrible. Yeah. And I'm not sure if I missed something in the beginning, but may I ask you on what grounds they've taken your boys from you? What was the original?
Mental health. Mental health.
Mental health, yeah.
Okay, so mental health. They just come and they say, right, we're worried about your mental health, so we just taking your kids.
Yes.
And we will do with them what we feel. Have you any idea how they are? I mean, I know you say you see them once in a while. How are they doing? Are they actually with another family? Are they in a children's home? Where are they?
I don't know. All we know is that they're in a foster home in Adelaide. That's all I know. I'm not allowed to know anything else.
We don't know who they're with or where they are, but we do believe that they're near Elizabeth because that's where we go to. That's where we visited our children. So we're assuming that possibly our children are with a foster parent or carer.
In Adelaide somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere in Adelaide. Yeah. But we don't know who they're with because, of course, we've asked DCP that, and of course they won't tell us.
Oh, we can't tell that for privacy.
They said, "Oh, we can't. We could have not able to tell you that." But they said, "Oh, the children have been to the doctor. They're all good. They're fine." And they go to childcare days a week. But they don't really give us any information on our children. Nothing really. It's really sad.
I just want to say something. I requested some photos of the boys, Matthew and Nathaniel, and I have never got the worst fear in all my life. 3 seconds of our 2 boys and 1 photo. Now, to me, our boys are looking very sick and unwell.
Yes.
They look very pale. I think they're not being fed properly, nourished. They're dark under the eyes. My eldest son has got my youngest son lives in the basket at the foster carers home, and my eldest one's pushing my little son, our youngest one, in the basket. And then the video clip was 3 seconds. We both know they've been set up to do that. DCP have set the foster parents up to make them laugh, sound an evil laugh, and also they put them up for my eldest son to poke his tongue out. He has never poked his tongue out in his life. We showed him from right and wrong. Now I know what's gone on here, and it's not right. That someone could put my 2-year-old and 3-year-old up to doing this. It's a setup. The whole thing is a setup.
Yeah.
They're 2 and 3.
Yeah. So, Mum and Dad hold grave concerns for the safety of these 2 little boys. They have no way of knowing, who they are with, or what they're actually being subjected to. They don't know how they're being cared for or who they're being cared for by. They have no reason to trust these people at all because these people are not listening with respect. They're not listening to Aunty Sandy, who is not only a trusted Aboriginal sovereign elder, but she's actually also a qualified counsellor who has worked previously for Families SA. So she's, well versed in what's actually going on in real child protection. And she has assessed independently, without a conflict of interest in this matter, what is going on here. And she has given the lawful order that the children need to be returned. And so, we want to know, who is it that sees themselves as a higher authority over these children than Aunty Sandy and their mum and their dad and the family? So Jasmine's auntie, biological blood auntie, who's also given instructions to the DCP that they need to return these children. Like, who are these false authorities that think they have a legal right to give themselves permission slip to steal children and hold them hostage?
Can I ask you, SOLI, just from your perspective, why do you think they've singled out these little boys? I mean, I hear you speak about Jasmine, can I call it her ancestral bloodline, her ancestral connection? I'm not sure exactly how you would refer to that. But do you think it has something to do with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Jasmine has a targeted bloodline. She is, a 4th generation stolen child by this system, and her children are 5th generation. So this is intergenerational corporate policy or false authority policy targeting the original sovereign people for destruction. This is genocide. This is genocide and child trafficking. Jasmine is quite conscious about natural immunity and natural health. So her 2 little boys are not vaccinated. The mum and dad don't want that. They want them to have their own natural genetics. They want them to have their own natural immunity. And that is another flag in the system for, you know, as we know, with the top-down, centrally controlled hierarchy of information that's being pushed down, we've got this transhuman agenda. So they don't want to allow any, especially of our original sovereign people of the land, to actually have their natural genetics intact. They're trying to genetically modify us all. So this is, you know, really important for all the other families that are conscious of wanting to protect the natural immunity and, you know, the genetic integrity of their children, whether you're of original ancestry or not. Now, if you are people that are for natural immunity, the system flag you and your children for these forced removals. The state is claiming that it has the magical powers and the authority to make these draconian decisions that have nothing to do with what is in the best interest of the children or the human beings, and everything to do with their plan to, you know, control the entire population and to claim that the corporations are the authority over the child, over the adult, over the human. You know, we've got corporations claiming that they control us.
That's it. State over a family. Like it's just absolutely disgraceful to hear that the state is enforcing this. And look, it's nothing new with vulnerable communities. I think that's why this is such an important, you know, example for us to all understand how bad this is getting. And they're going to be coming for all children soon. Like, it's time to stand up. Like, it's time for us to wake up and recognise, like, this is organised, state-sanctioned trafficking, and they are deliberately breaking up the family unit because they know that families and communities are the exact opposite to the world that they see us in as slaves going forward. You know, it's just so horrific. My heart just goes out to you, Jasmine and Winston, for all you're enduring with this. And you're so brave speaking out, because a lot of families, and I know of many in your situation at the moment, you know, it's so traumatizing that they stop speaking out, and, you know, there's all these gag laws and they're threatened to not speak out, when really this has to come out publicly. Like, we have to all understand this is what our Department of Child Protection is doing, where they're taking children from a family where they're being cared for by loving parents, and under the state, we know that children, you know, between 5-7 times, probably even more times likely to be abused. It's just, there's no excuse for what's happening. It's just awful. And I was going to ask you to mention, SOLI, because I heard you speak about this before. There's just such a huge, massive percentage more of our original people in state care at the moment as well, isn't there? And in terms of, you know, going through child protection, could you highlight?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so yeah, there's a rate of 6 to 1 these stolen children from families of original ancestry. So over the whole of the continent, of all of the original nations here, there are 25,000 children that have been taken from their families by the state, and 18,600 of those are of original ancestry. So again, that is real-time genocide happening now on our watch. And what has to happen is for those of us that actually care about real child protection, and we care about other people, we care about humanity, we have to realise that this responsibility of real child protection belongs to all of us. We can't be leaving these vulnerable targeted families to have to try and defend themselves against an entire beast of a system when they are at their most traumatized. You know, for those of us that are parents, like I know with my son, when he was a little kid, he was, I don't know, maybe 10, not even. He went missing after school for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And it was the most terrifying 10 or 15 minutes of my life. Like I felt like my heart had been ripped out of me, and I didn't know where my baby was. So for these families that have their children taken, and then they're at the mercy of this merciless system. It's merciless. It does not care. It seeks to cause trauma and harm. The idea that these families can possibly defend themselves and get a fair hearing on their own in isolation and trauma, it's impossible. There has to be this community care and concern and conversation and what is really going on and how can we help. You know, let's get real support in place. So there has to be us realising that as a community we've been groomed by these predatory operators that run this system to benefit themselves at our expense. And what happens is with a family like Jasmine and Winston, where the authorities have come in and, come along and said, we're concerned for your mental health, we're going to be cruel to be kind, so we've taken your children. What happens, in general is the community's automatic default setting is to just say, oh, well, there must have been a valid reason, and just leave it to the authorities and just go on with your life like there's nothing happening over here. It's like this automatic,
it's like a program, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
We're programmed to just pass our responsibility onto the state, and it's that's what's got us into this mess, Soli, as well. We've got to take our power back.
Yeah, absolutely. So my prayer, my asking for all of those who really do, have that beautiful heart that want the restoration of, divine and natural law, sanity, real child protection, that we take it on board, that this is our job, our most important job, all of us, and that we will help to be a voice for Jasmine and Winston and for their beautiful little boys, Nathaniel and Matthew, who are just so tiny and in their infancy of their development, when they need to be safe and secure, with their mum and their dad, to be learning who they are and where they come from. And they've just been ripped out of the nurturing soil of their real natural family and uprooted and dumped in a system that is managing them for money, managing them for money and power and control. It's not about the care and the protection and the nurturing and the development of the children. And we can see that in the outcomes of the other, children that are suffering in the system and who have been through it and come out traumatized and damaged from it. It's causing more harm than good. And it's up to we, the people, to actually hold these system workers to account for doing what is right and not just blindly following corporate policy that is actually nothing like the real law. It's not the real law. It's manufactured for-profit corporate policy coming from pedophiles in Parliament and the international banking cartel and the Vatican. We love the Vatican, don't we? You know, these are the people that think that they have a right to manage us as a human herd. And the reason that they've been getting away with it is because we've been letting them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
True. Oh, just it's just heartbreaking knowing how many families are in this position over Australia, and just those numbers of our original people, knowing, you know, I believe their population is like only 1 in 7 compared to, you know, white Australians or other ethnic groups, and to think that there's that many of our original children in state care. You know, this should be international news. Like, you know, this is like the Canadian residential schools happening now in Australia. Like, there should be absolute outrage. And yet, unless it's played on 7 nightly news, nobody thinks about it. People just have lost the capacity to think and to, you know, to really have compassion for our communities. You know, we can't watch others in our community suffer. Like, when one of us suffers, we all suffer, you know. So it's time for us all to just, you know, get our hands dirty, call out this evil, because it only has existed because we've been silent for too long. And you know, the more people that are out there raising their voice, just saying, we see this, it's not on, we're not going to let it happen. It's not going to be able to continue like it has for hundreds and hundreds of years, you know, for our original people as well. Oh, needs to come to an end, doesn't it?
It really does. And it needs to just all be brought out into the light so that we can see it for what it is and have honest conversations. Not to be blaming and shaming. You know, I don't want to be at war with the establishment at all. You know, what we, the people, just need to come back to the heart of our shared humanity and all collaborate and cooperate and work out how we can help each other to make sure the children are actually safe. And we're supporting families in reunification wherever possible, you know, and as much as possible, and putting in place genuine supports wherever they're needed. You know, so it's about healing. We want to heal this intergenerational trauma so that we can actually, you know, be getting stronger and healthier, rather than, you know, where we're at the moment, we're almost dead. You know, our humanity and our earth has been under such immense destructive attack for so long. You know, we really are at a breaking point where we need it to be a breakthrough, you know, into just honest conversation. Let's just talk about what's really going on and how we can help. What can we do about it? You know, not to gossip, not to blame, not to shame, not to give our responsibility away, but to just actually be part of helping to heal, you know, in whatever ways we can, which, you know, for Jasmine and Winston, they've invited the community to come and have a look, to hear their story, to support them, to advocate on their behalf, to help share their story, to contact the DCP, you know, across all methods, contact them through any means possible to say, you know, we are conscious, we know, we the people, the honestly informed people, know that there's been an independent community assessment in the Dance family situation, and you have been given lawful instruction to return the boys, and that's your job. That's what you're required by under the real law of the land, the sovereign land of the First Nations here. That's what you're required to do. So stop making excuses, stop playing, you know, your psychological games, stop traumatizing these poor people that just want their children home so that they can start to heal and get on with their lives in peace.
Well, we all know that the family unit, keeping the family unit together is the most powerful thing that there is. And, you know, again, it just seems, you know, from what I'm hearing, talking, you know, the conversations going on here today, it's all about splitting. They love to split, you know, I mean, if we just even look at dissociative identity disorder, the way that these guys like to do with pregnant moms from when these babies are still in embryonic form, and they carry on doing it. Look, this is exactly, so now it's not just that inner soul split, it's now physical split too, split of the family, split of the unit, you know, split of the community, split of the countries, whatever. It's just a continual split, divide and conquer kind of energy. And we've got to be so aware of that, because we just have to be so connected with each other, as you say, with communities, with your neighbors. We all need to be taking care of each other at these points in time. It is not okay for little kids that age to be taken away for mental conditions, whatever that is. So many children grow up with parents who have mental conditions. Obviously, what you don't want anyone to be beating up on their kids or hurting them. But every child needs their parents. And unless it's something drastic, those children should not be going anywhere, honestly.
That's it. A stable and loving home is so important, you know, and these boys, you know, they've been traumatized by, you know, being removed by the police, like all these strangers, different houses they don't know, they're not going to have their things there, like, you know, it's just a horrific situation, you know. And I think, like you were saying, Soli, like if we can all take our responsibility, like we would just change this world so very quickly. It's just,
it can happen like that, Gab.
I know. I'm just like, come on, guys, we're so close. That's why they're dividing us. That's why they're, you know, rolling out all this transhumanism, whatever. Like, we are so close to flipping this whole table over on them. Like, we just need to come together, not under leaders, but as a whole community of passionate individuals to talk, you know, to meet like tribal elders and just say, hey, let's do this. How can we help each other? You know, it's so human. And all these systems are so, you know, inhuman and traumatizing and dead, you know, like we've just got to shake it all off.
Yeah, absolutely. When Chantel, you were talking about the splitting, and they've split our hearts, you know. So instead of us being connected in this heart of our shared humanity, you know, to see the humanity in each other and to care about that and to, you know, have respect for that and to help each other wherever we can. They've got us all in trauma where it's too painful. It feels like there's so much pain that, you know, it will kill us if we care.
And it paralyzes, because that kind of trauma literally paralyzes one. So it disables you from doing constructive things. And we all know, for us to be moving forward in a constructive way, we need to be doing so from
in Australia.
So we all need to be doing so from a good energetic space, you know, where we're creating a better place for everyone. But when people are constantly being traumatized and they're constantly being hurt, bombarded, fear-mongered, you know, it's very difficult to keep the morale up. And so it would be, I've always been saying for a long time, we all have to keep our morale up. We all have to take care of ourselves. We all have to understand there are no saviors here at this time for us anymore. We've been given that power away for a long time. So if people in our communities, our friendship circle, our families, whatever, are in trouble, we need to help. We need to create awareness, even if it is sharing information, sharing a knowledge, sharing this recording, you know, creating awareness. We are There are so many atrocious things going out there, and we are allowing it by turning a blind eye. And it's just too much effort to get involved in someone else's life. And most of us feel like we've got our own problems anyway, so we don't need someone else's problems as well. Well, I think if we just had to sit with each other, have a cup of tea, find out how we can actually support each other, because everyone has got something to share and to give, even if it's just advice, even if it's connecting you with another human who can help you or whatever. Let us start that chain, of paying it forward, just because you can, just by sharing these conversations. You never know who could see them. So please do so. We have these shows for very relevant reasons, and this right here is a very relevant reason. So let's make a difference in each other's lives. That's what I think.
It's beautiful.
I mean, full support. I think that's the magic that we're missing, is that loving kindness and empathy and compassion and just caring. And I saw it, I've been supporting, there's so many targeted families, and especially our Aboriginal people. And I saw it with a mum who'd had her little baby daughter stolen by the DCP 2 hours after she gave birth in the Women's and Children's Hospital here in Adelaide. And she was, on the street out the front of the Adelaide Youth Court, telling everybody that was walking past what had happened, that they'd stolen her baby, and just trying to engage anyone, in this honest conversation. And one young woman that walked past stopped because pretty much everyone just ignored her, like she wasn't even there and she wasn't speaking. They just kept walking. But this one woman stopped and she turned around and she looked at the mum and she said, "I'm so sorry that happened to you." And she meant it. She meant it because she cared. And it was the kindest thing, to just actually care that somebody else was going through that pain. And just because of that little bit of care, it like lightens the load, that you're not so alone in your pain, that somebody cares.
Isn't it interesting that in situations like that, usually people walk by and label her as crazy? Oh my gosh, there's another weirdo. Until you're the one that is in that position and needs help. God has a strange way and a very mysterious way of working. God comes to us in all shapes and sizes and in all situations, could be the beggar at your door asking you for a potato that you turn away, every opportunity there is, that's presented to us is an opportunity to do something. You can turn away because you yourself can't face that kind of inner pain. That is such a reflection, SOLI, of what you're talking about, I think, that is just happening in the world right now. When we talk about things like Winston and Jasmine, their children being stolen, babies being stolen out of hospitals, these forced adoptions, let's call it child transportation, okay? The average person in this world can't actually deal with that kind of reality. So they'll rather block off from it and turn it into a joke projected onto the person that is bringing it to your attention, or bringing it to your attention, like that young woman outside the courthouse trying to tell people what has happened. She's trying to create awareness about what is happening, and people just ignore it. How disgusting. Until that's you.
Yeah, that's really the simplest form of the true law, is our Creator's law, which is the golden rule, and that's written into us. That's in us. It's in our divine design. And it's just us all coming back to that heart of our shared humanity, to care about each other and to want to support each other in our healing, and there's all different people are at all different experiences of trauma, you know, but we've all got it because what's going on in our world is not okay right now.
Yeah.
So we just need to admit that to ourselves and each other and say, we're not okay. None of this is okay. What are we going to do about it?
Exactly. I love that. And just how simple and how powerful is it for, you know, for people to come back into their heart space and come into that healing. And just, you know, that story, Soli, is so powerful because it just shows how simple it is. Like when we actually hold that space and listen, like actually deeply listen to what someone is saying, to their trauma, like to their deepest, you know, thoughts and feelings and what they want and where they want to go from there, you know, we heal. And it's not just that person that's healing, like you're healing as well, and we're healing the whole collective. You know, if we could all just have that compassion and take those, you know, random acts of kindness every day, we would start changing things really, really quickly. You know, we just need to get everyone's blinkers off a little bit. Wakey.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need a big tsunami of kindness and just
heart warriors. We're all just heart warriors, you know, at the end of the day, that's what we need to do. Yeah. And this is where we can. And Winston and Jasmine, I so please know that our prayers and our thoughts are with you, and just really hoping and praying that something, your little boys, happens that you can get your children back. Really, this is
yes, amen to that. There's a lot of people that are praying for us.
We will. Thank you for being so brave and sharing your story too. It's so important that these stories are shared so people can start understanding, you know, what families are going through, how families are being targeted. And we will put in the notes of the video as well. There's both an email contact and a phone contact for Department of Child Protection, Murray Bridge. So we'd encourage viewers to show their support for Jasmine and Winston and contact DCP Murray Bridge and say, you know, we know, we're watching, and what you're doing is not cool. Now, it doesn't need to be abusive or anything like that. We don't want that, but we just want them to know that we are all watching what's going on, and it's not going to be tolerated. We're aware.
It really won't be tolerated much longer. You know, there's so much awareness. This stuff has been happening for decades and decades behind the scenes and literally underground. And people who've been stepping forward and been whistleblowers around this have been deemed as crazy, arrested, locked up in mental asylums, locked up in prisons, and gosh knows where all else. But now that's not the situation anymore, even though it does feel like we are maybe losing this battle. I don't think we really are. You know, I think we've been losing it for a long time. We are now starting to actually fight back. I think that's why it feels so overwhelming for a lot of people. It's not that it's just suddenly happened. They've been doing this forever. So they're the ones who panic right now. We should not be panicking. Doing these things and perpetuating and being part of this disgusting system. They're the ones that should be panicking and are actually panicking at this point in time. So just wakey, one person at a time. Don't press that snooze button again.
That's it. We want it. This is what, you know, we really need to, just in really clear, rational thinking, no matter how bad it is, you know, if we just think that the reality, you know, if we're honest about it, is just an absolute nightmare. It's a horror show. You know, this is a slave system. We've got genocide, we've got ecocide, we've got child trafficking. You know, it's really bad. But we are the ones, we the people with the power to turn that all around, and that will turn around when we agree that it's time to do that. You know, nobody else can give us that permission. We have to do it together ourselves and say, do you know what? no matter how bad it is and has been, we're going to work together now, just talk honestly and collaborate to sort it all out. We're going to sort it out. We're going to take responsibility. We're going to make it good. And the sooner that we agree to that, the sooner everything starts to heal.
I love
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Thank you so much for joining us this morning or this evening for you guys in way down under. Starting our day here. Oh, it's actually, yeah, it's midday already just about. So I want to say thank you so much to Winston and Jasmine and SOLI. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
GABBI, as always, you with your gorgeousness in full radiance. Wonderful. Winston and Jasmine, as I've said, I'm so praying for you guys that this gets out there. And if any of the viewers have any knowledge, understanding, ideas, whatever, please just step up. You know, this is our battle at the moment. We are the ones that have each other's backs here. So that's the only way we get to do this. By getting them to change their policy. They're not going to change their policy. That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
They've been doing this since forever and a day. Why would they want to change that now? That would be really, really upsetting for them. So we got to make them change it. That's the whole thing. It's up to us to change the system through pressure, through starting groups, through creating awareness, shining lights on these disgusting acts. And this is how we keep our families safe, because that is the most important thing. And we know by now, the cabal hits us, family. If there's a strong family unit, they can't touch you. You've got strong connections, strong roots. They're going to try and hit you and whack you in that area first and foremost. Don't let them. Money is never, ever more important than your children or any relationship for that matter. And so many of us, unfortunately, make that wrong choice time and time again and end up somewhere down the river with a smashed up dinghy. So it's always about family and relationships that come first. If ever there's a choice between being paid for something or having a solid relationship or being within your own truth and integrity, there's not even a question around that. So, thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you so much.
Please give us a like, share, and a subscribe. You know that our channel was taken down recently, so follow us on Solutions with the Glorious Rising Africa as well. And this is Glorious Rising Africa. So, great to have you all on. Thank you so much. God bless you all. SOLI, thank you so much. Is there anything that anyone would like to say in closing before we end off?
I just wanted to know where everyone was from, or just what country, or are we all from Australia on this Zoom
I'm in
tonight?
Australia.
Or?
I'm in Australia. Shanti's in South Africa.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
So
you
and I think SOLI,
South Africa. And,
we're Ngadjuri Nation, Sandy Creek.
Yeah.
So we're in Terra Australis.
Probably at the beginning we probably should have said our names and where we were from or something, but yeah, that's all right.
It's all good. You did really well. You did really well.
You're going to be known all around the world for your bravery.
Hello around the world.
Thank you guys. Love you all.
Come on, Team Humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.